Of Feed My Tribe by Mmule Setati, and we're here to celebrate a cookbook that has been 2.5 years in the making. Mmule, well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well done.
Thank you.
I think the first question I wanted to get into is some of your earliest memories of cooking. What were some of your establishing memories of cooking as a young girl?
So the earliest memory I have of food and cooking is when I was in primary school. So I grew up in Diepkloof, Soweto, and the first thing I'd do every time I rushed home from school, which was actually, in hindsight, a seed that I was planting, but I'd rush home and watch Jamie Oliver. Mm-hmm. So I'd get home and I'd be like, the first thing I want to do, take off my shoes, blazer off, and I put in the Food Network, watch Jamie Oliver, and I just sit there and watch him make food the whole day. I had the blandest of food. I had tuna salads for lunch, soggy tomato and cheese sandwiches. So, it wasn't memorable, but then that's the first sort of food memory I have of my own.
Tell us a little bit more about the cover, the inspiration behind how the cover has been set up. Baby got back. And the food setup and the simplicity of it, what did you want to capture? And what I do know about you is if you had it your way, these titles of each chapter would be a little bit naughtier and a little bit raunchier. So how did you come about putting together the titles of this cover, and how did you not lean into the temptation of being Mmule?
So if you look at the cover, here's the cover, everyone. Cute. So I remember doing my research. So guys, it took me a good 6 months to actually realize what was happening. So I'd chill. I'd be like, they need a manuscript in 2022. It's definitely like 2020. I'm going to chill. So I took like 6 months. I was researching different books. I'd go to exclusive books and look at what is in the market at the time. And what I absolutely did not want was me standing in a kitchen with a pot like that, with an apron. So I remember telling my publishers, I was like, I'll never do that. Don't give me a pot. I don't want to hold a pot. I need to show my sexy back. I'm in the gym. Like we need to, I wanted to like show what women actually look like. And what is portrayed, other than what is portrayed in media or in publications, we don't look like that. We're not standing in front of a oven or a pot and we're smiling. We want to be part of the actual tribe, right? So I love hosting, and that's my thing. And the book is actually about that. So it encapsulates different meals that you can make when you're hosting.
I need a friend who's going to talk about a foodie story with Mmule. Who should I pick on, Mmule?
Felicity.
So every time I have a significant other, I legit ask her, what should I cook? Because I'll make myself a chicken breast and salad, to the point where I've forgotten to cook oxtail and all of those things. I'll either have her on the phone or she'll send me a recipe, and she loves to death about it, but it's very helpful.
Actually, I don't want to share a foodie story.
Yeah.
I want to share something that happened when Mmule was writing the book.
Okay.
She had booked herself in an Airbnb away from her kids and husband for the weekend to write this book. So I was seeing her face to face for the first time, and she went and got me wine, and she was like, hi, I'm in your area and I thought I should bring you wine. I'm actually writing my book. I'm like, this is dedication, I'm somebody that's not really dedicated. I'm always distracted, and that really taught me something, and seeing it, I'm like, you worked very hard, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Like your family, your husband and kids. Thank you.
The Feed My Tribe really inspired get the kids involved in the kitchen, cook a variety of things, let them try out different tastes, and then you experience a Feed My Tribe cooking class, and it changes your view of cooking and food and just recipes. So Mmule, I'll hand over to you to just really encapsulate what you learned and what your takeaway was in one of the classes.
Sure. So I went to one where the theme of the day was one of my favorite cuisines. It was Asian food, right? It was Asian. And first of all, I didn't even know you could buy gochujang at Woolies. But the beauty about it is that you go to a cooking class and first of all, if you've seen her at a cooking class, she's just like, just put it there and then just do this and then just add that. And you're like, it makes you so much more comfortable in the kitchen. It's less intimidating, like you have to get 2 tablespoons exactly on the... She's like, no, it's going to be fine. So she kind of teaches you how to find your way around the kitchen.
I know you have a story around the kitchen being your place of healing.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
So the story behind healing behind the kitchen, it's such a strange thing. So when I started therapy, I made a connection between food and conscious living and our relationship with food as people in general. So I think our relationship with food as people is very complex and complicated, and it's interweaved with a lot of things. But anyway, the journey behind Feed My Tribe and healing in the kitchen is during lockdown, just before lockdown. So 2019, I was in the juice business, I was running it, and it was manic. Like, that business turned me into something I don't know. Like, every time I think back, I'm like, I never want to return to that person ever again. But it taught me what it needed to. I'd just given birth. So 2019, just given birth to my second son, the wildcat, Maruo. Just given birth to him. And I remember, if I'm going to be extremely intimate, I was going through the worst period of my marriage. Like, nothing made sense. The kid didn't make sense. The marriage didn't make sense. It was just, the business didn't make sense. Nothing made sense, right? And we all go through those periods where it feels like everything is just overwhelming and it doesn't make sense. So I give birth to my son, and in the first 6 months, I'm suffering from the worst postpartum depression. Go to a few therapists. I think I went to 2 therapists, and I just wasn't clicking with them. I wasn't, the first therapist put me on antidepressants after the first meeting, which is very, very difficult to process. So I have this child, and I'm in this thing, and life is, doing what it does best. It's lifing. And in December, I remember it was a day after my wedding anniversary. So we go out for dinner, went out for lunch, I think. Went out for lunch, we had a nice, cute, romantic dinner. Postpartum, you're still trying to get back into your body. You're feeling yourself, you're feeling the relationship, So I'm going through those emotions of like, okay, it's the first nice date after having a kid. You're trying to look snatched. And then we go out on the date. We come back home. I remember that night I'm dancing with my son. So I'm dancing with him. He's a little baby. My other son, the 7-year-old, was away. So it's just the 3 of us, and it's cute and intimate. We're dancing, put him to sleep, and then I wake up the next morning. And it was at 5 in the morning. So you have this... Oh, there's the husband.
We're just talking about you, sir.
At the back. So we have this little 6-month-old who's waking up and is crying at night. So I wake up. I see the nanny in the kitchen. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, no, we need to make him food. So I'm like, make him food. Okay, bring him here. Take the child. I go to the kitchen with him. I put him on a kitchen counter. I turn around, like it was an immediate thing. So I put him there. He can sit and whatever. So I put him there, turn around. I shake the bottle. As I'm shaking, I just see this child falling back. And everything is in slow motion. So I'm like listening to the water shake. I'm looking at this child fall back. In my mind, I'm like, okay, he's okay. I mean, I've got one child and I've seen a lot. Like, he's okay. And he falls back and he starts crying. So I listen to him crying. I take him, I give him a bottle he doesn't want, take him to sleep, right? Take him to bed. And I remember, doctors would say, don't put your child to sleep or don't give him medication. So I'm like, okay, I won't give him medication. Let me just wait for him to naturally fall asleep, and then I'll go back. Get into bed with my husband. I'm like, the baby just fell. Where? From the kitchen counter. And he's like, is he fine? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. 2 hours later, I wake up, because we woke up at 5. I wake up, I'm like, why haven't I heard a child cry, right? So I don't hear this child crying. I go to his bedroom, he's still sleeping. So I'm like, something's wrong. Tell my nanny, I wake him up, he's still awake, his pulse is still on. So I'm like, okay, he's fine, but there's something wrong. So a mother always has an intuition. So I'm like, there's something wrong. I tell my husband, he goes, it's a concoction, I had that in rugby, you'll be fine. I had that during rugby, and I'm like, rugby? This is 6 months old. So we Google the symptoms of a concoction, and I'm looking at all of this, and I'm like, something's wrong. But yeah, fast forward, our child had a subdural hematoma, so he had bleeding in the brain. His brain had cracked from the fall, and his skull had cracked open, and the blood was flowing into his brain. So luckily, my mother-in-law had come at the time, and she's a doctor, and she was like, you better get this child to hospital now. Got to hospital just before Christmas. By the grace of God, like the best doctors in South Africa were not on holiday that time. They were also surprised, like this. We never hear during this time. You would have never found us. We found the best doctor, a black neurosurgeon, love him so much, and she basically saved our lives. I remember standing in the doctor's room, and they said, "Look, we can save him, but he might not be able to talk, walk. He might need extra care." And we just broke down. So the child came out of hospital, and 3 months later, it was lockdown. So you've got a 6-month-old who doesn't know how to talk, so you're not sure if his core mobilities are there. You go straight into lockdown, where you are also just surprised at what's happening around the world. And I found my healing in the kitchen. So the same place where I avoided it for the longest time. Like, I didn't want to go into the kitchen, I didn't want to cook. I remember I lost so much weight. I wasn't there. And we went into lockdown, and the first thing I did, I remember, I was like, I'm going to cook. It's fine. I'm about to lose my business. I can see, where it's going. I don't know if I'm going to lose my child. So let me cook. Let me take out my frustrations in something that I love, which is this. And I spent the next 6 months just cooking. Remember how many meals we made in lockdown, guys? We made so many.
And then you were helping us cook.
Yeah.
Launching this cookbook that has not only turned your life around, it has also changed how we view food, how we view community, how we view communion with our families. From a one-pot chicken to a salad to brinjals made in the most loving way, to pumpkin flatbreads that we learned how to make that have turned us into gourmet moms.
Yes.
In 2 simple recipes turning us into gourmet moms. So we're so grateful. We're so grateful for this book, and I'm praying, I'm hoping to see it in every single home I walk into. Yes. And just in case it's not every single home I visit, I will be carrying the book with me as a gift. And I think it's the perfect gift to just gift anyone. I think, anytime you go pop into a friend's house, anytime you pop into your mom, your sister's house, grab the book at Exclusive Books, at Loot, at Take a Lot, at Bargain Books. Grab the book and just take it with you as a gift wherever you're going. It's literally a staple. It's one of those books that you're going to see in every single home. It's so easy to you just flip through, find a recipe tonight. You can just flip through, find a recipe, and you have everything in your kitchen cupboard. And you can make even the spices that you didn't know what to do with, the ones that you just bought at Woolworths because you were just like, this looks interesting. There's something to make with it in this book. So on that note, as we close off, thank you so much, Mmule. I'd like us all to give her a big round of applause. Thank you so much.
My queenie. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining me on this edition of Art of Superwoman. Sit down.